Welcome back to SwitchCorner. It's Thursday, meaning one thing, 10 deals under $10, or of course your local currency. Now as always here, we'll be covering Switch eShops in the US, Canada, UK, EU and AU. If you're looking for the more expensive side of the eShop, remember then to check out Saturday's edition as well. Nearly every game from like this past video is still live and there's some absolute gold in there. So with that luck, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here, join our growing family and let's get started. So with Mario dropping this week in a direct with more than a few great games releasing literally today, I've gone super budget, super cheap, and I'm just trying to protect everyone's bank account as much as I possibly can. So with that, our first game, Guns, Gore and Cannoli. Just a few weeks back the sequel went on sale, and if you ask me, they've probably done this backwards, but now the first one joins it too. An incredibly fun game that takes that old school gangster vibe and throws you into an action run and gun not too dissimilar to the classics like, Metal Slug. While the sequel definitely improved in many of the areas, you've got to remember this was a more like budget experience, and it's always nice to see where a series began. Also, where else do you really get the option to run and gun through the like roaring 1920s? Tell me that's not pretty cool. Here though, expect to be unraveling a mystery around a city overrun by not only mobsters, but zombies too. Lowest price ever and well worth it with 40% off. This is, I've got to say, the only deal on today's list not hitting an all-time low, but it's like $1 difference and we ain't seen this on sale since January, so I think it's time it gets a shout out. Salumo, and it's one I haven't spoken about in some time. I actually own this one physically, imported from the UK, and I really like this one for those on-the-go gaming sessions. It's kind of like, pick up, play for 15 minutes, put down, or actually for hours too. It kind of fits both styles. Here though, we find ourselves returning to that old school isometric platform genre. Simple stuff, basically find yourself in a room and figure out how to escape. But with a few mini games, secrets, and then 400 of these rooms to work out, you'll easily get your money's worth. Plus, something I really like about the visuals, it goes from like the more grounded to the very surreal. Even with 400 rooms though, it's still not the longest of games. Just be aware that, and you're looking at an average playthrough falling somewhere around the 5-hour mark. 50% off though is a great price, and just note in the UK right now, Argos are doing it for the same price physically, so go that way if that's more your style. So Rhythm fans, I've been playing Grid again this last few days, not the racer, the sci-fi shooter with 2Ds, but one that visually reminds me of is Thumper, and I ended up playing this again as well, and what a game it is. I'd go as far as to say one of the best rhythm games available on the console. Just nothing else out there quite like it, and describing itself as rhythm violence somehow makes like absolute sense. Here though, expect your moves to like upgrade, expect boss fights, expect obstacles, expect barriers just to smash your way through, and the world it all takes place within, it can only be described as like a nightmarish setting. Incredible stuff though, runs perfectly on the Switch. Very few games, and as well they capture the intensity and speed that this one does. 70% off as well, it's well worth your time if you like rhythm games, but want something that's, gonna add a refreshing twist to that idea. Old school RPG fans now, Fairune collection, it's matching its lowest ever price with 50% off. I actually enjoyed this collection so much I picked up a limited run physical just to add to my collection. While they're not the longest of games, maybe 6 hours combined, they just nail that old school vibe they're out to like, emulate. Here expect something similar to what an NES era Zelda experience is. In the first game though, you set out to find 3 mysterious statues to lock away an evil force, and in the second you're after a lost fairy. Story's not the deepest, but I enjoyed both plots for the ride they were. Even then as well, it really mixes things up at points when it throws in some like minor shmup moments. Weirdly as well, I gotta say, they work really well together with the rest of the gameplay. I think the old school gamers out there should definitely find time to give this one a shot. Nearly everything here is just a tribute to the classics, but in the best possible way. So Doorkeepers Action Squad is here, and not only do I love the title of this one, but the game is great too. Giving it an 8 out of 10 when I reviewed it towards the end of last year. This is an action-packed 2D side-scroller that for sure I've got to say requires a little bit of brain power too. Basically you're going to die a lot as you figure out how to kind of navigate this world, that is for sure. The idea is simple though, you gain control of varying levels of law enforcement officers, or maybe even like the army and stuff, and then you're setting out to clear rooms and save hostages, hence the name, expect to basically be kicking in more than a few doors. Well, I think a story would have been a real nice addition. I still loved it. The world is incredible. I love the animation. The pixel work is surprisingly impressive in its like level of detail. And then the difficulty curve, it's going to kick your ass for sure, but that just makes it like super rewarding. 2 players as well, online or off, make it even better. With a new all-time low here of 65% off, this is probably, I gotta say, my favourite game on today's list. So my pickup of the week now, Despotism 3K, I think I'm saying that right. A game I not only intended to pick up at release, but one I wanted to review down to how just like unique it seemed. In fact, I actually meant to grab it on the last sale and missed it then as well. So, well, now it turns out basically missing out has paid off because it's got an even bigger sale, 60% off, an all-time low. Not 100% sure honestly of what to expect here, but I know it sounds so weird, I'm intrigued. And the reviews over on Steam for the PC build are nearly all positive. Here's the idea that you control an AI that has taken over the world, and you will, as the eShop puts it, exploit puny humans to extract power and build your empire. So basically you're feeding them and keeping them healthy in this weird vision of a future. Promising though a dark sense of humour and roguelike mechanics, I'm down for this resource management sim on steroids. Not really sure what that means honestly, it's just what the eShop tells me. You want to join me though, check out a few reviews. I can barely find a bad word against this one, but as always just look, no, it's not a recommendation, just what I'll be playing personally. So a day one at release sale for you now, Mana Sparks Complete Edition. I really enjoyed Mana Sparks, and there's no question not only has it been on sale a ton, but they've also nearly constantly supported it, so I want to throw some of that support back at them. Mana Sparks Complete Edition basically brings together the first game, or well, the base game, and the brand new DLC for a solid 60% off. The first game, it was a great pixel dungeon crawler with Souls-like and roguelite elements, but this now adds in the DLC and it sounds pretty incredible. And again, I want to make it clear, I just picked it up myself without a discount because the DLC is not on sale solo, but it's adding a new character in there, Doug, sold immediately at Doug honestly, a new story, new enemies, new skills, new items, new boss, and then perhaps most impressive, a new mode, and that is local co-op. They discount like Mana Sparks heavily, so no doubt this will drop a whole lot lower in the future, but you know what, I'm down for supporting devs who are putting the effort forward, and I think Mana Sparks is just a prime example of that very thing. Okay, so before we get to the final 3 games of the week, let's wrap up with like 3 quickfire mentions, just because we spoke about them recently, but they were definitely popular. Not Tonight Take Back Control Edition is back with 90% off nearly immediately after the last sale. Wouldn't normally mention a game again so quickly, but people went crazy for it, so if you want to check it out, now is your chance if you did miss out. Here though, you're managing the door, different bars, and just basically trying to survive in a dystopian future post-Brexit. It's for sure out to make a statement, this one, and it's not shy about that fact. I loved it, and yes, it for sure has similarities to Papers, Please, but if you do want to know more, go ahead and check out my in-depth review over on the channel. I will tell you now though, super impressed. Then Ministry of Broadcast, another dystopian-like tale where you take on the role of a man simply trying to reach his family and reunite. To do this though, you must get past what's known as the wall. It's basically a divide, and the only way to do this, compete and win in a TV show that's seriously out to kill you. Think basically like Flashback meets The Running Man, and you get the idea. Great sense of humour though, love the pixel work, and the price here is solid with 40% off, and it marks like a new all-time low. Finally then, slowing things down a bit here, but the Lord of the Rings adventure card game. I think the name tells you pretty much everything you need to know, honestly. I'm not the biggest of card game players, but this one impressed me, and this new low price of 50% off makes it absolutely worth it. It does, I will say, seem to be well respected, but I'm not sure I'm also the best source of truth on the genre. I'm not really that deep into the gameplay style, but yeah, I noticed, or at least for myself, there was a ton of content here for fans with multiple campaigns, new modes, and a decent take then on the Lord of the Rings world. So our penultimate games of the week, then I'm putting them together: OPUS The Day We Found Earth and OPUS Rocket of Whispers. This is for all of you out there who want something relaxed and peaceful. If you're looking for, you know, deep mechanics, action, explosions, don't come here. Come here for a deep and meaningful story. That's the warning out the way basically, but I adored these games and I don't think I've ever spoke about them, so now seem like a great time. The first entry, The Day We Found Earth, is simple enough. You're a droid, so think like WALL-E, and you're out to find Earth with a super powered telescope, and you're basically exploring the ship you're stationed on. That's really kind of all there is to it, but it's the story that's the focus, and it just delivers with this like touching tale of almost like friendship and discovery amongst other things that I don't want to spoil. You'll probably wrap up this first entry in somewhere around the hour to 90-minute mark, but honestly, given the 60% discount, it's a story worth experiencing. The sequel then, I actually think this one is even better, switching out the story here though for 2 survivors of an apocalyptic plague. Here you're setting out to build a rocket to return the deceased to their cosmic homeland. Both games probably closest similarity a point and click adventure, but I think it's the storytelling that just elevates both of these into must-buy territory for me. This sequel, like the first one, also has 60% off. So our final game of the week then, a game I haven't actually thought about in some time honestly, but Memories of Old, and we're going from one somber experience to another one here, because this is about as chill as they come. Here you play as one of the last remaining shapeshifters alive in a world which is basically falling to pieces, and you'll find like fragments of islands just kind of floating around. Here though, you'll run, you'll jump, you'll transform into a bird and fly around this world solving puzzles and the mystery behind the old gods that are basically forgotten. Everything about this game though is stunning, from the minimalistic art style to the stunning soundtrack. Sadly, I will say the full price are way too high for a game that is maybe a couple of hours in length at most, but now with 75% off, again like Opus, well worth it for those of you out there that like a more relaxed and kind of chill experience. Play this one with headphones too, because as I said, that sound design absolutely stunning. What will you be adding to your collection if anything, because I know there's some absolutely massive releases that are no doubt calling your bank account. With that then, like a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. Helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. If you do want to check that out for yourself, it is linked in the description down below. Then finally, like, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.